Morning car lovers, welcome back. I'm Bobby Freeman. Today, my friends, we're going to be looking at the BMW 530e. And as you can tell, I've parked on a very bad section of road because I keep getting bloody bastard cars driving past like that. So apologies about that. I'm going to try and quickly do it before another one comes along. And also, I'm battling with the fact that I have slightly lost my voice because I was at a karaoke bar on the weekend and I failed to sing in the professional manner in which I've been trained. So I'm croaking a little bit. But however, I shall see that's the length I go to bring you top quality, well, middle quality car reviews. You are welcome. But yes, today we are looking at the BMW 530e. And my regular viewers know I've had a nice sort of varied history with BMWs. I've had, I think, 3 or 4 in the past, of varying different incarnations and versions and models. But I've never had a 5 Series before, but I've always really enjoyed being driven in them. In the occasional time I might get lucky and get an Uber that is a 5 Series. And yeah, let's face it, it's not going to absolutely blow your world apart in terms of design. It's not going to set your world alight. It's not going to really turn heads, you know, when you drive past. However, everyone I've ever spoken to who's had a 5 Series has absolutely loved them and raved about them and the way they're so comfortable to drive, combined with a lot of space, and all that kind of more than offset the rather mundane exterior, which is this is what I've been told by many people anyway. So I thought to myself, it's a high time I find out for myself just what makes these 5 Series owners rave so much about them. So I am very much looking forward to, you noisy bastard, looking forward to driving it for you today. So let's have a quick look around it, shall we? And to do this, unfortunately, I do have to stand in the middle of the road. Again, an example of the extreme dangers that I put myself to bring you these videos. So as you can see, as I said, fairly mundane. In fact, the design, oh God, there's a car coming, I'm gonna get run over. The design hasn't really changed for kind of decades, really. Brilliant 4 cars in a row. Actually, how many more do you think we can get during this video? But I kind of guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You probably wouldn't tell too much difference between this one and one from, like, I don't know, sort of 4 or 5 years ago. But as you can see, there are it has evolved slightly. We've got a slightly bigger front grille here than the ones of yesteryear. Obviously got LED lights now as well. But in terms of the styling, very similar. As you can see, it's not going to be the most exciting walk around video ever. We've got the diamond cut alloys down here, which is fairly standard on, you know, things like these high range cars these days. And as we go down the side, again, nothing much to talk about here, unlike the Jaguar F-Type of course, which is just driving past down there. Look, if we're going to be interrupted by these cars driving past, I might as well use them.
So guys, I'm just sat editing this video, and the more astute viewers amongst you will notice that I call that a Jaguar F-Type, when it is in fact the Jaguar F-Pace. So I thought, unfortunately, we live in a day and age I'm going to have to acknowledge that before everyone starts slagging me off on the comments below.
Little bit of detailing in a nice side vent here, very tiny little dent, and a lovely thing indicating that obviously it's a hybrid vehicle there. And as we come along, it's going to be quite difficult to get the profile. I'm going to have to stand in a field over here. As again, I keep wanting to say the word mundane, but I think understated, I think, is a fair way of saying it. Understated. It's not kind of, which are the ones that look really ugly when, oh yeah, I think Mercedes touring versions, their estate versions, they don't seem to have got it right. It looks very back end heavy, but this kind of look not quite to the level that Audi have got it. I think they got the design of the estate cars hands down, but it's not too bad, and it's certainly, I think, quite a dignified looking beast. And one of my favourite features about the 5 Series is it has this kind of cool opening back window, which is kind of Range Rover-esque, and obviously the cover glides back there as well, so you can just pop things in there like that. Say if you'd, I don't know, if you can't be asked to open the boot fully, I mean, you know, it can take a lot of effort, I know. And also, if in real terms, if you've backed really close to a wall or something like that, it's quite handy just to pop stuff in like that. I like it, very cool. And of course, you obviously can open the boot fully as well, and you get a shed load of room in there. You've got just over 500 litres of space in there. If you fold the back seats down, you've got 1,700. Enough to keep a small family of I don't know, people, or at least a small pack of dogs, or whatever you want to sort of keep in there. Probably not things that are alive, not the best advice in the world. But anyway, you've also got an extra compartment down here, which is obviously taken up with the beautiful array of electronic charging equipment, this being a hybrid. And again, I can never really wax too lyrical about boots, because it's just a boot at the end of the day. But as boots go, that's pretty damn big and pretty impressive. So then, let's have a look at the inside, shall we? And this is what I always think is the most impressive area of a BMW, because, you know, as I've said, the outside is rather, not mundane, understated. The inside, I would say, is absolutely cutting edge and genuinely beautiful and a really, really lovely place to be. It just oozes quality. It's exuding, seeping with quality from every single orifice, if you can get that rather unpleasant image out of your head. Just look at the leathers and the quality of the stitching all the way over around here. It just feels like it's a sort of a high-end gentleman's club mixed with a Starship Enterprise. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It also has kind of retained this kind of the BMW essence as well. If you look at the setup here on the entertainment system, all this is very, very, well, it's identical, in fact, to BMWs, which they've done for, decades now. Slightly changed, slightly spruced, slightly tweaked to make it more refined and bring it more into the present, but generally the very similar setup and a very familiar place that a lot of BMW drivers will find them in. Steering wheels on BMW, I don't know why, I always feel like BMWs have the best looking steering wheels. It's just so chunky, so sturdy, but kind of just perfectly built. You put your hands in it, you just feel, my God, I could drive anywhere. The beautiful kind of stitched leather again, and around here, of course, around the middle section, just absolutely amazing. Again, with this kind of brushed aluminium look as well, and obviously the lovely BMW badge, and of course, which you always like, the nice M Sport badge as well. Also, which is very cool in here, when you turn it on, it makes this kind of cool noise. Listen to this, hang on a second. I hope you could hear that on my microphone. It's kind of a boom when you get this kind of cool thing here. I'm not entirely sure why you get that picture of a city in, but it looks quite cool. Obviously, you've got a digital cockpit down here, which is standard on these on the 5 Series, and indeed, we're going to get to a point where it's going to be standard on every single car, to be honest. Ginormous, huge, lovely big widescreen over there for the navigation and various other infotainment options. Also, very nice that majority of cars are having them very high up here as well, so it's very close to your eye line, so you don't really have to look too far. Unlike my Jaguar XF, which is way down here, which seems like a really stupid place to put it. You've also got this kind of, I don't know if you can see that, you can just about see the kind of bluish purplish hue there. Lovely bit of ambient lighting in there, which again is standard across the range. I do like a bit of ambient lighting, especially coloured lighting like that. It serves no real purpose other than looking cool, but I like it very much. And we've obviously, I've talked about this section here, very, very similar to other BMW setup. You've got all the air conditioning here, and obviously your presets for the radios there. Not an extremely exciting thing to dwell on, I know, but I like to show you all of the vehicle, including the beautiful air vent. In case you wonder what an air vent was, that's 2 air vents. Starter button over here, as is the case with many BMWs. And as we scroll down, we've got a lovely large area here for storing whatever you might like to store in there, your personal effects, your whatever you brought in the car with you. And then we push that back, revealing 2 beautiful looking cup holders and a nice standard USB in there, which I like very much. I don't like these silly USB-Cs, as we know. We've also got the 12-volt charger in that little fellow there. Down here, the classic well, it's not the classic, but it's become the kind of the norm BMW gear shifter there. Very, very similar to ones in the previous incarnations, but just tweaked slightly and brought a little bit. As I say, it's kind of evolving this car. And obviously the classic BMW iDrive over here, the undisputed brilliant champion of all of these car control things. Much better than you do have touchscreen as well. Look, we can whiz this around using the touchscreen as well, but I wouldn't really recommend it because it's just, the iDrive is so convenient, it's so good, and BMW nailed it first time, and everyone's tried to copy it, never really got as good as it. So stick with the iDrive, it's awesome. Different driving modes down here, turning traction control off if you're a particular maniac, sport, hybrid and electric over here. Obviously the parking brake here, and you can switch it to auto or not. Got a nice lovely stitched leather, which is just as good as the rest of the stitched leather area there, in which to rest your arm. If you ever have a tired arm, look at that tired arm, look how tired it looks. Hang on a second. Oh, now look how rested it looks. Oh, that's a rested arm. And obviously we can open this up as well. We got a fairly modest storage area. Story area? There's no stories in there at all. It's a storage area, definitely not a story. But I'm quite surprised at that, honestly. I thought there might be a bit more in the 5 Series, but for whatever reason there's not. This bit's kind of cutting into it a lot, which has a, there we go, my old nemesis, the USB-C, which I am rejecting in a sort of rather stubborn way, as my regular viewers know. Little tiny light in there, which is actually quite nice at night time if you want to reach in there, if it's not particularly huge space, but if ever you actually lost something in there, it's nice to have a light by which to search for it. And as you can see, you've got the sports seats over here, absolutely wonderful quality leather. It's the same leather as on the rest of it, but look at that seat. That just pales, like makes my Jag seats pale into insignificance. I'm really going off the Jag, as you can probably tell. And you can look at, as you can say, just see there more examples of the quality, this German quality that they whack into these BMW 5 Series. Quick look at the glove box for you glove box fans out there. Fairly decent, but you know, at the end of the day, it's just a bloody glove box. But for those of you who are interested, there it is. Also worth mentioning, as we scroll up, look at these extraordinary looking lights. I couldn't tell you a great deal about them. These are obviously the purpley bits, the ambient lighting, in addition to the other ones. But these are obviously your sort of individual lights. I have to be honest, I haven't used them at night time, but I'm very curious as to what, I mean, that's a hell of a lot of, looks like a pair of bloody headlights, to be honest. You'll be lit up like a Christmas tree. So, as I said, I haven't driven it at night time, so I'll rely on viewers that have driven it at night time to help me out with this in the section below. So let's take things round the back, as they say in Scotland. I don't know why I said that in a Scottish accent, but BMW obviously know that this is going to be a space, an area where a lot of people are going to be spending time, because these are going to be, a lot of them are obviously going to be chauffeuring cars as well, and BMW obviously know that because they've got a ton of legroom here, as you can see. Good Lord, my legs are very skinny. I need to stop skipping leg day. But as you know, I am 6 foot tall. I've got fairly lanky legs, and as you can see, an absolute beautiful amount of leg room there. You can be very, very comfy in the back here, and you get a better idea of that ambient lighting in the back, because I think there's slightly tinted windows in, a little bit darker. You can see that nice purplish hue. It's absolutely lovely. I feel like I'm in a seat in first class. I mean, look at it again. So obviously the leather's all the same throughout, but look at the seats and the quality. It just absolutely oozes it, like I say. That one, obviously, I've got the seat pushed back a fair bit there, so it doesn't look like much leg room, but you get a good idea from my legs. Central console there, not a huge ton of options here. Obviously there are optional extras here. At the moment, in this model, we've gone for the 2 executive shelves. What you get, that one's actually a lot better than that one. That's a very small shelf. You could probably get about 4 lip sills in there, or maybe I don't know, just something the size of 4 lip sills, but that one's more impressive. You could probably get 1 single round of a ham sandwich in there, should you want to. And down here we've got, if you wanted to make it a toasty, you could plug your toasty maker into that 9-volt thing, although I don't recommend, just to be clear, I don't recommend making cheese toasted sandwiches in the car, especially if you're the driver. And of course, to my disappointment, we have the USB-Cs over here. 2 of them, so you can plug in your iPads for your kids or whatever. But to be honest, I don't reckon kids should be using iPads in cars. I don't know why really, jealousy, I think. Jealousy. I never had it when I was a kid. I had to be bored. I think, you know, I had to be bored. I think kids occasionally should have to be bored. When they're in the car, they should suffer and experience a bit of boredom in life, because, well, I don't know, I'm just a miserable git. Now, also in the back, we have these strange little contraptions, a little flap there, which you put out, and it's got this sort of thing in there. Now, I know I'm a car reviewer, and I should be probably telling you what things are in cars, but I try as I might, and I haven't tried very hard, I cannot work out what that could possibly be. So I know it's not very unusual, but if you know, do let me know in the comments in the section below. Storage space in the door cards here, again, much like the central console over there, it's a little bit disappointing, if I'm absolutely honest. You wouldn't get a great deal in there, and that's slightly disappointing, slightly surprising for a car of this caliber. Another little thing I've just discovered, which has absolutely no use whatsoever, but I just find quite fun. That you know, I said when I press the on button, it makes that lovely sound. I've also realised if you press it on and off, it does this. Again, has absolutely no sense, has absolutely no use whatsoever. I don't know if you even found it useful, however, it pleases me. So then, as we all know, BMW like to refer to themselves as the ultimate driving machine. And if you've never driven one before, it doesn't take long when you get behind the wheel to see why, because they're all absolutely brilliant. And this one, my friends, is no exception. In fact, it's possibly taken it to another level, because I don't think I haven't driven this. This is the first BMW hybrid I've actually driven, and god damn, the engineering, the years and decades of experience of those BMW engineers is just really showing through. Because I always think, I don't know anything about mechanics or sort of electronics, but I always think it must be incredibly difficult to make a hybrid car, 2 different kind of motors working in conjunction with each other. But BMW have absolutely nailed it. I mean, don't get me wrong, all BMWs are smooth, but when you combine it with an electric motor as well, it especially from off the mark, it's noticeably different, and it also gives you a nice, obviously having that electric motor off the mark gives you a really, mind you, this is quite a bumpy bit of road now, so the camera will probably shake a little bit, but it's brilliant to have that extra bit of surge that the electric motor gives you, and works very, very well with BMW's already very kind of smooth and refined engine. So this one I'm driving is a 2 litre, it's got 288 brake horsepower, it does 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, which is not bad for a car this size, and I'm on a sort of a nice smooth A road here, and I'm just coming out of the speed restriction, so I'm gonna gun it a little bit. I'm gonna push it to the floor, and whoa, I tell you, it's not, oh hang on a second, let me make sure I don't crash into this car. There we go, excellent. That's one thing I noticed about me, I'm always keen to avoid crashing wherever possible, but the gearbox is kind of the pièce de résistance. I mean, to be honest, it almost feels like it's fully electric. It's super quiet as well, but I'm putting my foot down now, and it is going through the gears, but you cannot feel it. You cannot feel a change. You don't feel any jolt, any kind of like the engine is taking a breath. It just feels like one consistent, smooth gliding of power. And as I say, kind of feels like a full electric, and sounds like it as well. Steering feels very sharp, but it is quite light, but they kind of combine a sharpness with a lightness. I don't know how BMW do it. They've always kind of done that, unless you go for perhaps the older M Sport models. They were a little bit heavier. I had a 3 Series saloon that was a little bit like that. Steering was a bit heavy, but that's to give you a bit of sporty feedback. But this is much lighter than that, but you don't lose that feedback with the road. You can kind of get, like, you can feel through the steering wheel, you get that sense, you can get a sense of, you know, you can almost feel what the road surface is like, and that's a really important thing, I think, personally. Not everyone cares about that, but if you've got, you know, if you're a driver's driver, then you really kind of want that. You want that bit of feedback, you know. I suppose the top of the tree for that will be Porsche 911. It's obviously not on that sort of territory, but, you know, it's certainly towards the higher end of that kind of ranking. And also, obviously, being a hybrid, it's got that self-charging mode, so when you take your foot off the accelerator, it kind of applies a little bit of a brake, which then just kind of diverts a bit of that charge into the battery, into the motor. But I mean, you have to do quite a lot of that to actually make any significant charge. But if that power's there, you might as well, you know, there's no point in going to waste. Personally, I don't think I've quite mastered the art of taking my foot off and using it as a kind of brake. It's kind of still a little bit kind of, it makes me feel a little bit sick. I'd like to get it a lot smoother if I could, but I'm sure I'll get there. But, you know, at the moment, the jury's out for me on that. But of course, the one thing that BMWs are known for is their handling around corners, and this one does not disappoint. It's just like, it's kind of a given that every BMW you get is going to be good at cornering. I've got one coming up here. Is it a corner? No, it's a T-junction. That might be a bit ambitious. But there's one coming up here now, like a big, winding, meandering corner. I'm just going to sit gently into it as we go around. Oh, yes. Oh, my God, this car was made to just sit in corners non-stop. Oh, man alive. This is what you buy a BMW for. You buy it to go around corners. If nothing else, literally just to sit constantly in corners. Now, I talked about the gearbox earlier, and obviously, as with all, you know, modern automatics, you do have the option to go into manual mode. But to be honest, I've tried it, and as with most automatics these days, they just do such a good job. I don't know why you would want to be using it. Why would you buy an automatic if you then want to start changing gears? The whole beauty of an automatic, once you buy an automatic, you very rarely go back, especially these days when they've got so much more technology. And so basically the point I'm making is, don't bother putting it in manual mode. In fact, BMW, if you're watching, which you're almost certainly not, just do away with the manual mode. We don't need it. We don't want it. Your automatics are so good. Just don't waste your time or mine. So guys, all in all, if you want to get one of these, this particular one is going to cost you about £60,000, but you can go for the lower models and you can get one for just under £40,000. And to be honest, that is so much car for that amount of money. Personally, I'd probably push it a bit more and get one like this because I think this is just possibly one of the most popular ones they'll sell. I think a lot of people are going to want to get this for various different reasons. I just think it's the nicest in terms of economy and obviously comfort and the way it drives as well, without spending too much money to get the faster ones. And I know I said at the beginning of the video, I talked a little bit about it being mundane on the outside, and the reason I wanted to sort of get that out of the way with first, because for me, BMWs are all about the drive and the interior. They're not going to turn heads, certainly not this one anyway, as you drive past people, but For me, it's all about the drive and all about the quality of the interior, and you're not going to get much better than in a 5 Series. It's truly glorious to drive. It's effortless to drive. It's so easy to drive, and that's what I think the market that people are going to be looking at these cars are looking for. There's acres of space in the boot, acres of space in the back, extremely comfortable in the back seats, and the front and certainly the driving position is absolutely fantastic. And I just feel I could just drive this car forever. You know, I'm struggling. What could I say about it? The only thing, kind of the downside of it, like I say, is the slightly understated exterior. But again, a lot of BMW drivers, I don't really think, want to be big and showy, offy and brash. They kind of want to sort of cruise along under the radar, and there is no better car, in my opinion, than the BMW 5 Series for doing that in. So guys, I hope you found this video enjoyable, informative and useful today. If indeed you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Press the like button on the video, and if you want to support the show, then head over to the Patreon page or click the join button below this video. Until next time guys, I'm Bobby Freeman. My voice has just about held out. I'm going to have to go and have some honey lemon in a minute, and don't forget, drive safe.